This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Flowify. Flowify is far and away the best piece of mortgage technology that I have used. I was one of the first users back in 2013, and it was a game changer when it came to upgrading my client experience. At its core, Flowify is the simplest way to streamline the document collection process with your borrowers. The user interface is simple to use and intuitive, which is great for client interaction and experience. If your borrower can browse and upload an email, then they can use Flowify. It creates buckets of what is needed, what is pending, and what we have, so you can avoid all of the back and forth and the "I already sent you that 5 times" conversations. It automates reminders. It's cloud-based, so you don't have to download a big piece of software that slows your computer down. You can access it anywhere you can get online, or even through the Flowify app on your smartphone. The milestone updates provide a simple one-stop communication portal with all parties in the transaction, including buyer's agents, listing agents, escrow or attorney contacts, and transaction coordinators. We've seen it cut down on status calls into our team from realtors and borrowers by about 80 to 90%. There's so much that Flowify does, it's actually hard to keep up. Just recently, they've updated their 1003 loan application to an interview-style loan app instead of just a fill-in form web form. I just did the demo, and it is awesome. I really am excited to get started on it. It's the perfect complement to your CRM and your LOS. If you're like me and your company uses Encompass, it communicates seamlessly with Encompass to avoid a bunch of the double entry work. There's embedded DocuSign within the system. There's account check so you can link to your client's bank records so you don't need to get statements. It goes on and on. So get more efficient. Your processors will thank you. Your underwriters will thank you. Your bank account will thank you. Sign up today and get 25% off your first 4 months by going to flowify.com/sauce. That's FLOIFY.com/SOSS.
Why does it in this industry we were taught, and it's nobody's fault, right? It's just the way it's always been done, that you have to do everything. What other sales position does that? The realtor that sells me a house is not the same one that built it. And the builder, they don't sell houses, like they build houses and then let the realtor sell it. Why do we do anything any different? It's crazy.
You are listening to the Loan Officer Strategy Session podcast, where top producers answer your mortgage origination questions. To get your questions answered, check out our Facebook group, Loan Officer Strategy Sessions, or submit direct to the website for upcoming episodes at lostrategysessions.com. Now, here's your host, Andrew Sauce.
Welcome to the Loan Officer Strategy Session podcast. I'm Andrew Sauce. Today on the show, we have Carl White. Carl is somebody that you are likely familiar with if you're in the mortgage industry and you have a Facebook account. He is the founder of Mortgage Marketing Animals, which is a marketing and coaching company that he founded with a partner. He's also still active in the industry, has a large branch and has quite a few loan officers that he mentors and is managing out of Florida. Carl's a super interesting guy, just one of the nicest people you will ever meet and very genuine. Same exact guy when I talked to him on this podcast is when I met him in person as what you hear on his podcast. He also has a really, really great podcast that actually inspired me to start this one, which is called Loan Officer Freedom. In this episode, we touched on quite a few topics, but mainly it's centered around backing into how to create the most successful life, not just the most successful mortgage practice. So we talked about what he calls the triad of awesomeness, which is the intersection of what you do well, what makes you money, and what you enjoy doing. We talked about being accountable to yourself versus being accountable to someone else. We talked about what he's passionate about, and we talked about being busy versus being fulfilled. So really, really fun conversation. I really enjoyed speaking with him. I know that you will like this too and get a lot out of it. So without further ado, here is Carl White.
Okay, we are here with the one and only Carl White. Carl, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing good, man. It's an honor to be here today.
I appreciate you taking time. I know you're super busy. So,
let me stop you there for a second. Everybody always says that. Dude, I am so not busy.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. Yeah. So that's the most dangerous thing you can be in your business is busy.
Yeah.
Being busy will have you losing more opportunities than any other single thing.
Interesting. Dive into that. What do you mean by that?
So, do we need to do any more of an intro or anything?
No,
or is that,
let's just jump right in.
All right, cool.
Right into the deep end.
Right in the deep end.
The Carl
Right.
White worldview.
So here's how I look at it. And this is I wouldn't say this is just for loan officers, but certainly that's my world. Is the first question I always like to ask a loan officer. And by the way, just FYI, I'm a branch manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I also do a training, for loan officers, not just my branch, of course, but, throughout the U.S.
Yes.
And the first question I always ask somebody is, dude, what's the number one thing that makes you money? Like, what's the number one thing that if I'd say, Brian, you as a loan officer,
mm-hmm.
right? What's the number one thing that makes you money? And I always ask that question.
Mm.
And most will answer it, in a way that makes sense. They'll go, well, meeting new. I'm just going to grab one. There's more than one right answer, by the way. It's your answer, not mine.
Yeah.
But let's say it's going out and meeting with referral partners, and then I'll say, all right, let me ask you question number 2. How many hours, minutes, if any, did you spend doing that activity last week? And getting ready for it doesn't count. Right? Preparing for it doesn't count.
Yeah.
The only part that counts is the actual doing of whatever that activity is. Right? And by the way, some people might say, well, it's taking applications. No. Something had to have, that app didn't just show up. Something happened. Closing the loans that I'm doing. No. Something happened for you to have that deal to be able to close it. What was that activity? And what did you do to get that? Like, what did you do to get that loan to come in the first place? Well, I close people on time. Oh, no, I get that. But to have done that the first time, you had to have done something that brought that deal in. What is that activity? You have to find out what is that activity that does that? And how many hours, minutes, if any, do you spend doing that activity? And so a typical response, not the only response, but a typical response, getting new referral partners, right? Talking to real estate agents, talking to whatever your source of referrals are.
Correct.
Right? Mine happens to be real estate agents, but whatever yours happens to be. And I'll say, how many hours or minutes, if any, did you spend doing that last week? You know what the average answer is when people are being honest? You know what the average answer is?
Not a lot.
Yeah, 0. 0 is the average answer. You know why it's 0?
Why is that?
Because they're busy. They're doing stuff. They're doing all the other activities that didn't bring them in the most business. So when somebody says, hey, I know you're busy, to me, it's like, oh, dude, I'm way not busy, because I leave a lot of white space on my calendar open to do the number one thing that makes me the most money. And the last thing I'm going to have is me being successful interfere with that activity. That's where the loan officer roller coaster comes from.
Yeah.
Up a month, down a month, up a month, down a month, up a
Yeah.
month. They know how to bring in business. They did it 1 month. Just the problem is now they get busy and they can't do that activity anymore.
Yeah. I equate it to, I'm like the king of analogies. So I equate it to driving a car. You can be really careful and drive a car and be looking 10 feet out in front of you in the road, right? And not run into anything and be able to brake, but you can't go very fast doing that. To be able to go fast, you have to be out looking forward, anticipating 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 10 years from now. What is your pipeline going to look like at that time? And if you're constantly only looking at your current month's pipeline or maybe next month's pipeline or trying to close that deal this month, you're going to be empty next month. So the hard part about that, and I think why most loan officers plateau at some level that's in combination of their efficiencies and their self-limiting beliefs on what they actually can do. I feel like most of them plateau because they have trouble with scalability. And most people have trouble with scalability because they have trouble with control. Most people have trouble with control because they have fear. So I know a lot of what you teach. And just for a little bit of background, I coach with Carl's company and I started coaching this year with them. And I really like the concept of what you bring to coaching. It's more holistic approach, I would say, in terms of how does this business fit, not within the business. It's not how do we make the most money. It's not how do we do the most loans. It's how do we have the best life. So maybe you could talk for a few minutes about sort of what your overall worldview is and what you're passionate about when it comes to educating and training loan officers to really backwards solve and reverse engineer for how to have the most success out of your life as a whole, not just success in a business.
A lot of good stuff there, man. So first of all, dude, I totally hear what you're saying about the people don't let go because of the fear. Because as long as I'm chasing conditions and putting out fires, I don't have to put myself out there to go get more business for the chance of being rejected. And the one thing I always remember is, dude, they're not rejecting me or you or if you're listening this day, they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting your offer, and learning to put a difference between that. Like I equate it. So one of my vehicles that I have that I really enjoy is a Jeep. I call it my naked Jeep. So, it's got like the no doors, no top, no windows, it's just like a naked Jeep. But I've got tires on it. Dude, I had no idea how much tires cost until I bought tires for that thing. And tires are expensive, like real expensive.
You chew through them too, probably, right?
Actually, I don't. I'm driving Miss Daisy, but I
got it.
yeah, but it looks like I could. It looks like I could, but yeah. But anyway, tires are very expensive. If I got a call this afternoon from the tire store, say, hey, Carl, that set of tires you bought from 6 months ago? We've got another set of 4 we're going to let you have for $100, like the deal of a lifetime. Like these things they were like $1,000 a piece. So this is like a really good deal.
Yeah.
I would tell him no. Because number one, I like driving. It's just I got other stuff I like driving too, and I drive it from time to time. Dude, those tires are going to last me for probably as long as I own the Jeep, because it's got tread the size of a Sherman tank, and it's going to last a long time.
Got it.
And if I was to get those tires for $100, even though it's a deal of a lifetime, I'd have to store them in my garage for the next 10 years and then dry rot before I don't need the tires. It's a great deal. I love the tires. I love the salesman that sold me those. I just don't need the tires. So I would tell him no. So anytime we're calling people to get loans and they tell us no, it doesn't mean they don't like us. It just means, hey, they're already working with Andrew, just say, and Andrew's an awesome dude, and I'm not going to win that one.
Yeah.
So they're not saying, Carl, you suck. They're saying, Carl, I'm good, man. I'm already with an awesome person like Andrew. I'm looking for the ones that aren't with an awesome person or something's happened. So when we pick up the phone and we have that fear of rejection, dude, they don't know me. They don't know you. They haven't, as you're listening to this on the call today, they haven't spoken to you enough to make a decision if they like you or not.
Yeah.
They're with somebody awesome already. We're looking for the others that have an issue. And let me tell you something. Everybody's going to have an issue. I do. Andrew, you do. Not many, far and few between, but we have them. Yeah. Right. And I'm not going to tell you we never lose an agent in my organization. We do. Not often, but we do. So it's that fear of rejection. And one thing that we talk about, Andrew, at like our 3-day trainings that we do is one of the best pieces of advice I ever got in my life was feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it. I'm convinced the difference between successful loan officers and people that are struggling is overcoming fear. Because let me tell you something. Everybody feels fear. I do. Everybody. Dude, I've talked to thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people from a stage. I'm getting ready to step on stage here this coming weekend. Mm-hmm. And I'm nervous, just like every other time right before I get on stage. The difference is I'm nervous, and yet I still go do it. I'm still afraid. I just do it anyway. The old joke is the difference between fear and courage is fear is peeing in your pants, and courage is doing what you need to do with wet pants on. Everybody's afraid. It's just that the successful people push through it. And that's why I tell everybody at my events, I always wear black pants. Right?
I like it.
So
that's good. I hadn't heard that before. I thought I'd heard everyone, but I like that a lot. So I think that fear manifests itself in a few different ways. Sometimes it's fear of, like what you're talking about, fear of going out and getting new stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fear of letting go of the things that you're doing because you don't have the trust and you've got these control issues of needing to have your hand in every piece of the transaction. I like some of the analogies that you've used about the one-man band. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that and how impressive a one-man band is, but what he actually looks like to the outside.
Yes. So the control thing. So, I'm not sure if it's the fear of letting go. And you might be right, though. You might be right. But I think another element that plays into it is if I'm not chasing conditions, if I'm not doing everything, that means I've got more free time to go get more rejection. Right? I think that's what it is. And then once you learn that or realize the truth, which the truth is they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting your offer. They just don't need tires today. I think that helps the letting go off. If somebody said, hey, every time you let go of a loan, I'm going to give you another 5.
Yeah.
Very few people would have an issue letting go. Truth be known, that is the numbers, by the way.
That's actually what happens, right?
That is actually what happened. That's exactly right. But like on the one-man band thing, I'm always reminded of the pictures we see of a one-man band, right? It's typically a clown, right? That's got cymbals, between his knees and a trumpet coming out of his nose and, xylophone coming out of his ears and whatnot, right? And he's playing all these instruments.
There's usually an accordion mixed in there somewhere.
And an accordion mixed in there between one of the armpits somewhere.
Sure,
right?
sure.
Right? While although impressive that they can play all those instruments, perhaps, we compare that to, say, the conductor of the Boston Pops, which actually plays no instrument. As far as I know, maybe knows how to play all of them. Maybe he doesn't know how to play any. I don't know. But I know that during the performance, he's not playing any. And yet, if we look at it, one looks like a clown, right? And one looks like a very professional conductor. And by the way, if we look at a one-man band clown, they work at kids' birthday parties and stuff, making nothing. And the conductor of the Boston Pops, they got the parking spot. They got their picture on the album. Yep. They get invited to the mayor's council stuff.
They play for the president. Yeah.
That's the person that makes all the money and gets all the respect. Because see, the issue that I used to struggle with is I thought, but I want to impress everybody that I do everything. The problem is the only people impressed are other clowns.
Yeah.
Because other people that are of substance, like you today, Andrew, you're not impressed with, nor am I impressed with a one-man band. Again, we don't mean that out of disrespect because we've all been there, but it's like only other clowns are applauding you, right? People that are professional go, dude, if I go to a doctor's office and the doctor takes my credit card and schedules my next account and, I'm sitting there going, dude, am I at the right doctor's office? Is this okay?
Yeah.
And people are not looking at you with respect because you do everything any more than if I go, like, there's a hot dog stand down the road here. I go into that hot dog stand, the lady behind there, she takes my order, she gets my dog, she garnishes it, she hands it to me, and she says, thank you. Whereas when I go to a fine restaurant, which makes a lot more money, I have one person that seats me, one person that takes my order, another 2 people that bring our food. It's a team of people. Somebody else is cooking it. Somebody else is preparing it. Somebody else is doing the dishes. Yeah. It's a much bigger scale. So do you want to be a fine dining establishment or do you want to be a hot dog stand?
Yeah. Choose your analogy, right? I mean, there's a million examples here. And I think that there's something about letting go of doing something you've done for a long time. That once it happens, you rarely move backwards. Every time I make a hire and that hire does something that I used to do all the time, even if it's as little as, I may hire somebody that they're taking off a little bit off of everybody's plate, and off of my plate, it might only be a handful of things. I never move backwards from that. I'm never going to do expense reports again. It's something that I did for a long time.
Yeah.
And now that I hired I didn't hire somebody just to do my expense reports. She was doing, assisting a lot of other people, and it's not something that I'm going to do anymore. And I get this a lot when I'm talking to, as somebody with a fairly large team and somebody who is scaling out their growth and constantly looking at everything that I'm doing within a transaction and all the things that I'm doing to get the transaction, all things that I'm doing post-closing. I have this whole lifetime of a client list of every interaction that a client will have with me. Yeah. And that's how I kind of structure workflow and structure how I'm going to hire somebody. As somebody who is always cognizant of that, it sticks out like a sore thumb when we talk to other LOs, or more in my genre, I'm talking to a lot of real estate agents who are doing really good volume for our area. We're in a pretty high dollar amount area. And so if you have somebody doing 25, 30 transactions, they're in the top 5%. And I just met with somebody, a real estate agent, successful real estate agent in terms of numbers in my market. And he did 35 or 40 sides last year, all by himself, no assistant. And my first question is, A, how did you do that? And B, how's that working for you? And he said he was exhausted.
Another question is, was this a gentleman that you were talking to?
Correct.
Okay. So another question would be, and how's that working out for your wife?
Yeah.
Or how's that working out for your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your kids? How's that working out for your kids? That's the question.
He happened to be single, and I knew that based on the conversation previously. And even then, I don't think it would have gotten there had he had a family. He would have stalled out.
Or ignored his family.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I said, well, that's great. Where are your goals? What is it that you're trying to get to? Ultimately, where do you see your business going? And he said he saw his business going up by 50%. I said, okay, well, then you need to hire somebody 3 years ago. So when you're making your first hire, and what's holding you back from doing that. So we sat and talked and strategized. And this was a call that is an introduction that I had from one of my title officers. Went and had lunch, made a great introduction, really great guy. And the first thing out of his mouth when he met me was like, I've already got a lender. I've been super happy with them. I'm like, awesome. I'm not here to become your lender. I'm here to just meet you. I like to meet other like-minded individuals. And so kind of broke him down a little bit off of that and really just talked about personal and talked about his business and didn't talk one thing about what we do until the end when he started to open up and actually ask me about some of that stuff. And actually, interestingly, I hooked him up with the gentleman that was at our conference in Vegas that helped hire assistants. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Oh, John.
John, yeah. And so I need to follow up with him to see if he ended up moving forward with that. But by the end of the conversation, he sort of understood. And one of the things I impressed upon him was, I said, I've never met a real estate agent who hired an assistant and then went backwards and decided to move forward without. And maybe that assistant didn't work out, but they're not going to get rid of that assistant and go back to being solo. It's always replacing.
I'm always amazed on how many people actually do that, though, Andrew. That I hear this often where, I've tried having an assistant before. Something went wrong. I lost a deal. I'll never do that mistake again. And they go back to the old way instead of going, I get it. As we're sitting here doing this today, we're on camera here. We can see each other.
Yeah.
But you're shaking your head. Who would do that?
Yeah.
You know as well as I do, man. A lot of people do that. They try something one time.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out, and then they run back to home base, never to go out again. So, because I can tell you, like when I put together a team, about 1 out of 4 works out.
Yeah.
And that's just the numbers. And I found, be quick to hire and quick to fire. So it's not that we are irrational when we hire or let people go, but we just have to be, if somebody says, Carl, what's the number one thing that makes you money? Talent acquisition, right? Putting together a team, because I can hire somebody to do every single piece that I do. And the more I delegate out, the more volume I can do. The things that I did when I was closing 5 loans a month, I couldn't do when I was, even just going to closings. Nothing wrong with going to closings, right? But if you're closing 20 loans, can you go to 20 closings? Well, no, you can't.
At the expense of something.
You couldn't at the expense of the other closing that's also closing today at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because toward the end of the month would have 3 or 4 closing on a day and maybe a different. So it's physically impossible. Sure. Like you can't do it. So the activity, which is really hard, man, the activity that takes us to where we are might not be the same activity that's going to take us to the next level. And you go, wait a minute, dude, that's where I met Realtor Jill. And then she referred me this other one and I'm getting some good business. But I get that. You still can't go to 50 closings a month.
Yeah.
Like last year, I got paid on $800 million, and this is a round number, $800 million of production.
That's insane.
Right? The team that I get paid on, it's crazy. Try going to that many closings. How's that going?
Yeah.
It's a basic thing, and I don't want to do such big numbers that it scares people off. But here's the bottom line. You have to decide, do you want 100% of a grape or do you want 50% of a watermelon? And I think, again, it just goes back a little bit into that fear thing of what if something goes wrong if I'm not in control? Like, dude, you know who Jack Roush is by chance? Do you know who?
No, I don't.
So Jack Roush, I'm a NASCAR fan. And if you go out on the street even, you'll see Mustangs going by and it'll say Jack Roush Mustang.
Okay.
Right? So they said it's a high-end Mustang.
Like a signature, yeah.
Yeah. Like Shelby Cobra used to be and whatnot. Anyway, so Jack Roush. So Jack Roush, extremely, he's a billionaire. Very, 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 very wealthy man. So he's the number one engine builder for all of NASCAR. Like he's undisputably number one. And I was listening to him on an interview, and the interviewer asked him, Jack, how is it that you make these amazing engines? I mean, everybody's got the same basic stuff. How do your engines always win? Why half of his competitors buy his engines to race against him on race day, right? And this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, so these people have all the money to do it, and his competitors buy his engines. Jack, what do you do that's so special? And I loved his answer. He said, it's quite simple. He said, what we do is we get an engine and we put it on the engine block and we start it up, let it warm up, put the gas pedal, full throttle with a brick, so to speak. And then we go have a cup of coffee and we come back when that engine is blown up. And then we take apart that engine and we look to see what broke. And let's say it was, I don't know anything about engines, but let's say it was a piston ring.
Yeah.
He said, we build a better, stronger, faster piston ring. We then put that engine back together and we fire it up again, let it warm up, put a brick on the gas pedal, and we go have lunch. We come back when the engine blows up again. And maybe this time it was a push rod. I'll build a better, stronger, faster push rod. So what he said is, here at Jack Roush Industries, we don't run from something breaking. We embrace it because I'll build a better, faster machine. And I thought, man, that's it in our business. Is we're all going, well, I can't let somebody else do it. Something might not close. Well, if you find out what breaks, it gives you a chance to fix it, and you'll have a bigger, better, faster team. And you just keep pushing that envelope up and up and up and up until you get to $800 million a close, or whatever. You can far surpass, some on this call might have already far surpassed what I've done. But if you're so afraid of something breaking, look, something might break, and because of that, I might lose a deal. I might lose a referral partner. I might lose an office. But I'm losing that one to gain my next 10. It's not that I don't care about those people, because I do, but I care about the next 10 also. And I'll build a better, faster, stronger machine in the process of doing this. For those that I didn't lose, it'll be better, and they'll send me even more deals because I got a better machine. And that's the thing is just letting go, becoming very efficient at putting together a team, and letting your team do what they do and find out what breaks. And if one piece keeps breaking, i.e. an individual, we're going to have to replace that with a bigger, better, stronger person in that position, right? Because again, I go back, people say, well, Carl, how can I close more loans? I don't know. How'd you close your last 10? Find out what they have in common. Do more of that. The problem isn't you don't know how to close loans. The problem is you're so cluttered with the other stuff that you don't have time to do that activity that brought in your last 10.
Until you've ignored it for 45 days, and then you've got no pipeline, and then you go do it, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So everybody's driving, looking at 10 feet in front of them instead of looking at 3 miles down the road.
That's exactly right. I always think, man, we're in the most perverted industry ever. That, like, if you and I were to go to a car dealership, like there's a little Mercedes dealership down the road. And if you and I were to go up there and we got cash in pockets, because that's how we buy cars. We got cash in pocket. We go down there to buy his and his new car. We show up on the parking lot and no salespeople. What the hell? So we go inside the little building there, and there's a gentleman behind the counter, and he says, can I help you? I said, yeah, we're here to buy 2 new cars, and we're ready to pay cash, and we've already got them picked out. We're ready to buy. We just need some information, to how do we pay for this thing, i.e. make application as a loan officer per se, right? Yeah. And what would you think if the person behind the counter said, hey, well, I'm sorry, all the salespeople, they're in the back changing oil, or we had a recall on the airbags. All the salespeople are back in the service bay fixing the cars. But if you leave your name and your phone number, they'll call you back later this afternoon or first thing tomorrow. You'd think, what the hell's wrong with this place? Right?
They don't like money.
These are clowns, right? The people that sell the cars aren't the same people that fix them. So why is it that as a loan officer, we feel like we sell the loan and then we got to do all the activity to close it? No. You send it back to the service bay. They chase the conditions. They change the tires. They fix the brakes. They order the appraisal out. They send out the condition list. The person that sold you your copier is not the same person that comes and fixes it when it breaks. Why does it in this industry we were taught, and it's nobody's fault, right? It's just the way it's always been done, that you have to do everything. What other sales position does that? The realtor that sells me a house is not the same one that built it. And the builder, they don't sell houses. Like, they build houses and then let the realtor sell it. Why do we do anything any different? It's crazy.
It is strange how it manifested itself that way. I'm not sure why. This goes to one of the things I hear you talk about a lot is make it easy. Make it easy for people to do business with you. And so that's not like when they call, it's not go to voicemail and let me call you back. It's not, no, I got to wait for Carl to get off the phone. So Carl will call you back when he gets off the phone. Like push that to somebody. What's the script that you use? I know Carl really wants to make sure that you're
move everybody to the front of the line.
Front of the line, yeah. So like if you call my office and you want to make an application, you're trying to give us money, we're going to make that real easy for you, right? Because it's a good thing when you do, because we'll make it a better process for you, right? So it's just not about a sales thing. You have to make sure that you're providing the goods too. But if somebody's trying to give you money, make it easy for them. Where that came from, I was in myself and Diane were in an airport. We're flying out to do one of our 3-day events. And I'm standing in line with a banana and a water, and I'm getting ready to spend, I don't know, $5 for a banana, and $8 for something I can buy at Walmart for 25 cents worth of water. Yeah. And so I'm getting ready to pay $13 for a banana and water that has a
probably cost them 75 cents at most. And I'm waiting in line, I'm waiting in line, and I'm waiting in line. They got one cash register. There's a long line. Diane says, Carl, we can't wait any longer. We're getting ready to. So I had to put my banana in my water, which is like virtually 100% profit. And I went, dude, open up another cash register.
Yeah.
The amount of money you just lost off of my sale would have paid somebody for another hour. Make it easy for me to give you money. It's crazy that somebody calls to do an application with us and they hit our voicemail. Don't do that. Have somebody, look, they don't want to talk to Carl or Andrew per se. They just want the money for a loan. They want a mortgage. They want a house. They don't even want a mortgage, right? They don't want a mortgage, but
they prefer not to actually have to talk to us.
So they don't want to talk to me or you per se, even though we're nice people. As you're listening to that, they don't want to talk to you per se. They just want the money.
That's elevating your team up. Nobody expects to call a doctor's office and have the doctor answer, Dr. Jones, how can I help you? Oh, I'd like to make an appointment. Oh, let me check my schedule. Nobody expects that. In fact, people expect almost like a very tough experience in terms of getting, when they do get a hold of somebody. So when we do actually pick up the phone or talk to them, then hopefully that elevates our conversation with them to be more impactful. One of the things that I've talked about on some of my other podcasts is about kind of how technology is interfacing with our business. And, you've got people on different sides of the spectrum in terms of what the role of the loan officer will be. But the one thing that I think people are missing a bit is, let's take somebody like Quicken, right? Quicken doesn't advertise on the sides of buildings, on Super Bowl ads, on every other commercial when I'm watching a golf tournament. They're not advertising that they have the lowest rates. In fact, they don't even mention rates. If you notice their advertising, at least over the last 2 years that I've been really watching them, they don't ever talk about rates and fees. They talk about how easy the process is. Yeah. Rocket Mortgage, quick, app, easy, seamless, frictionless. People don't take Uber just because it's cheaper than a taxi, although in most cases it is. People take Uber because of convenience. And in fact, they take it for the perception of convenience. If you've ever been to New York, you would know this, watching 10 taxi cabs drive by when your Uber is going around the corner. It's the perception of convenience. And so people will pay more for speed, for efficiency, for frictionless. I mean, that's the whole reason credit cards are even in existence. You're still paying.
I was getting ready to spend $13 for a water and a banana. Yeah, it was convenient,
That's what it is.
Yeah, so make it convenient for your clients. Is that going to work for everybody? No, it won't work for everybody, but it'll work way better than anything else that you're currently doing. And how do I know that? Because the number one lender in America today, which i.e. is Quicken, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Make yourself as convenient as Quicken makes the public think that they are. Now, you and I both know the Rocket Mortgage thing, it's all a smokescreen. I actually had a buddy of mine make an application on there just to see the process so we could document it.
Yeah.
Dude, all it really is, it's all smokescreen. It's an opt-in. That's all it is. It's just an opt-in. Yeah. Because as soon as he opted in, he got a phone call from a loan officer, and the conversation went like any other call with any other loan officer.
Yeah.
So it's just a perception of there is no magic push a button and get a loan. It's just opting in for that loan officer phone call that came in. But it is convenient because 24/7 I can grab that app and push a button and my process has started. They made it terribly convenient for me. So.
And I think we can take that across our whole customer experience. My whole paradigm within my business is anytime I'm making a change, anytime I'm implementing something new, anytime I'm hiring somebody, anytime I'm firing somebody, anytime I'm adopting a new piece of technology is how will this impact client experience? And it may not even be a client-facing thing. Maybe it's we're doing something on the back end for how we order appraisals. Well, will this enable us to order appraisals faster? Will this enable us to have better communication within our appraisal system such that we can provide more timely updates? How does this impact client experience? And I think that the companies that are doing it right have that as their baseline of this may be great for my interaction with me and my underwriter, but if that's not impacting client experience, then there's maybe no reason to adopt this certain workflow or technology.
Well, one thing I think we have to be careful of, because you make good points, and technology is an amazing thing, and we certainly use it in my organization, but I have to tell you, that isn't the first thing that I would work on. Because one thing I've always been known for saying is, don't get so busy building the farm that you forget to milk the cow. And the milking the cow is getting loans in the door. So we work on that first. We get that going first, and then we start building technology afterwards. So the first part of our day isn't setting up our CRM or setting up our phone system or setting up the first part of our day is doing that one single activity that makes us most of our money, whatever that is for the person that's on today's call. And we do that activity from 9 to 11 every morning, whatever that is for you. And then after that 9 to 11 is over, then we start building the support structures. Milk the cow first, just like the farmers do. Milk the cows first, and then build the farm. And that's counterintuitive to what a lot of people think. Well, let me get my logo first. Let me get my business card, which is nothing more often just creative avoidance, right? Just creating reasons to avoid the main activity, which goes back to your brilliant observation. It's all based on fear. Yeah. And if you're waiting for the fear to go away, I got some breaking news for you. You're going to be waiting your whole life. The fear never goes away. At 800 million last year, I still feel the fear. I just do it anyway. I do it with wet pants on, so to speak. Yeah. It gets easier. I'm telling you, it does get easier. But man, those feelings of what if they say no, and what if this, and what if that, what if this doesn't work out, and what if I look stupid and all that. Hell, I feel that, right? Yeah. So that actually is a good segue into another thing that I've taken away and really implemented in my business from a visual standpoint is evaluating. I'll let you describe what your triad of awesomeness is and the things that are solving for those three things, and then how you implement that within your business. All right, perfect. So what it is one of the exercises that we do, and you and I, we did it in Vegas, is we write down a list of everything that we do in our mortgage business, like everything. It's a long list of all the things that we all do. It is. You don't realize how long it is until you start doing it. And then as you look at that list, you categorize everything into three categories. Number one, which of these items do I truly love? Like, which ones do I really love doing? The hardest thing is being honest with ourselves, because we can sell ourselves. I know I can sell myself on anything much faster than I can sell a customer, right? So what's those things that I love doing? And then, Andrew, then we write down on that list, which of them do I just have a knack for? It just comes natural to me, which is the hardest thing to identify, because we think, well, everybody can do that, right? It comes easy. No, it's easy for you. I'll never forget, John Lennon was asked a question one time. How do you write such amazing songs that touch the souls of the world? How do you write these amazing lyrics? And John answered, dude, I just write words that rhyme. Fish, dish, I put them in a song. So he didn't understand truly that he was an amazing lyricist, because it was his natural, it was his superpower. It was his unique ability, as it's been called. And so identifying those things in your mortgage business that you really have a knack for, that you're really good, it's hard to identify, because you're going to think, oh, that's easy. Well, it's easy because it's your unique ability. You might find it easy, Andrew, and the things you find easy, I might find hard, right? So number one, which are those things that I love doing? Which one of those things is my natural ability that just comes in that? Because, dude, I love doing things that I'm not good at, right? I love singing. Yeah. I go ride my motorcycle around the countryside, and I'll play some music. I'll be just singing, wailing away. Yeah. You know, I can't sing, though. It doesn't mean I'm good at it, even though I love doing it. So what do I love doing? What am I good at? And then the last piece is, which of these items of this list of everything I do, which ones actually make me money? And by the way, setting up my Facebook page itself, the actual setting of it up, doesn't make me money, right? And we could go on and on about all the different things. Like most of the things you do, not you, Andrew, but most of the things that loan officers, that you and I early in our careers, most things we do don't make us money. And once we make the list of everything that I love, everything that I'm good at, and everything that makes me money, there's a small sliver that fits into all three categories. And it's small. It's a very small sliver. And we call that the triad of awesomeness, because it's the things that make you money, it's the things that you love doing, and it's the things that you have a natural knack for. And that small set of items, and for most of us, it's going to be 1, 2, maybe 3 activities total. At the most. Yeah. At the most, total. Brother, as the people listen to this on today's call, my brothers and my sisters, the people that identify the things that you love doing, the things that make you money, and the things that you have a natural ability to do. When you find that small sliver of things and you whittle off everything else and only do those 3 things, amazing. I just got off the phone with a really cool cat. His name is Blake Pemberton. He's in a little small town in the middle of Louisiana. I think Lake Charles, I think is the name of it. It's like, I don't know, 30,000 people. It's a small town, right? Something like that. It's a small town. This cat has gone, and this is just off the top of my head, he's gone from closing 4 loans a month 8 months ago I just got off the phone with him a little earlier. And what did he say? And again, this is just off the top of my head. I think it was 21 that he's closing this month. Dude, he's gone from 4 to 21. How did he do it? By focusing on that small sliver of things that I love, the things that make me money, the things I'm good at. We identified that as 2 or 3 things that he's doing. He's doing nothing but those 2 or 3 things. Everything else he's outsourced. His customers are having an amazing experience. His referral partners are having an amazing experience. He's having an amazing experience. And by the way, he's never worked less. So he takes Fridays off.
Yeah.
So he works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, takes Fridays off. So he's working less hours and he's making, what is that, like 500 times more business in the last 8 months. It's amazing.
That is amazing.
And he's an amazing guy, and he's certainly not typical. Don't be typical. But for those people that actually do the exercise, I'd say that kind of activity is very familiar with us. Like we see that often. So, and he's a really nice guy, but Blake would be the first one to tell you, he's not Superman. He's just a dude, man. He's a nice dude. He's an awesome dude. He's a good personal friend of mine, but he's just another guy. He's just amazing at doing the activity and farming out everything else. So not only is he increases business by like 500%, he's also spending more time with his wife and beautiful son that he has. See, that's when you're making a difference, man. You're not just making a difference in your income. You're making a difference in your family by actually participating in spending time with your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your kids. See, I used to think time and money were tied together, that the more, I don't want to make more because I'm already working too many hours. And what I found is as you close more loans, you have to work less because you can't do as much per file or you can't do it.
Yeah.
So you're forced to let stuff go as you ramp up your business. So Blake has to work less hours to close more loans because if he was still doing everything he was in the beginning, he couldn't do twice as many loans because he'd be working twice as many hours. Yeah. And I don't remember what his number was, but just say if he was already working 10 hours a day, if he's closing twice as many loans, that means he'd have to work 20 hours a day. You can't do that. You die.
Yeah. Let's get really tactical I want to dive in a little bit into that triad of awesomeness and how it can actually, so like conceptually, I think people understand that getting from, I would say most people in this call are doing 5 times as many things as they would be doing if they were able to snap their fingers and only do the things that solve for those 3 things that they're good at, that make them money, and that they enjoy doing. You can't turn it off overnight because most of this is you're either outsourcing, you're using technology, or just stopping that activity altogether. So tactically, how would you have somebody approach, let's say they make this list of the 40, 50, 60 things that have to be done with, or that they're currently doing within a transaction and the marketing piece and the whole life of a client. And they whittle it down to the 4 or 5, let's say 4 things that really make them the most money. All these other things still need to happen. They might need to make some hires. They might need to. So how would you have them transition to where they're just doing that?
By the way, it can happen overnight. And I'll tell you how. So like you're a loan officer, Andrew, right?
I am.
Yeah. And you have a team set up in your office.
I do.
Okay. So do you have other loan officers in your company?
Just one. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So one. Okay, perfect. So does that person tap into your team or do they have their own?
They tap into mine.
Okay, perfect. It happened overnight for that person. You follow me? Here's the thing. Find somebody in your organization that already has going on what you want going on and join forces with that person. It happens overnight that way. Find somebody that's already got a race car that's ready to run the Daytona 500, jump in their car and drive that car. I'm not saying you need to change companies per se, even though you might. I don't know what company that's, there's other companies, that do great things. But here's the problem. You and I are salespeople. We may or may not be the best HR people because typically HR people don't make great salespeople. It's 2 different personalities, not better, not worse, different. So if I'm a great salesperson and suddenly I think I'm a great human resource person too and can go hire this amazing team, that might not be my gift. And by the way, while I'm hiring this team, who's out selling for me? Nobody, right? So what if I find somebody in my organization, you work for XYZ Mortgage, I'm just going to say bestmortgage.com, whatever. I don't even know what that is. I would call around to find who's the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loan officer in my organization. And I'd look to see about plugging in their team while then I start developing my own team under that person. And at some point, in a cool way, and with that being agreed upon ahead of time, separate away, still staying in the same company per se, but learning how to develop my own company. Or I might find dude, if I just plug into, let's just say Jill's a top producing realtor at my company. If I work a deal out with Jill where I can plug into her team, as I'm plugged in, I might go then look to hire my own loan officer assistant and have time while currently I'm using Jill's. And as I start making my own team, because it was previously agreed to, I start separating away from Jill and I become my own team at said mortgage company. Or I might find out that when I plug into Jill, screw that. Why go build my own team? I can just go sell and I'll let Jill do my hiring. The person that we're hiring has got to be paid, right? Whether it's us or Jill takes care of them. The less you do, the more you make. So the more I can outsource, i.e. building the team, I can happen overnight. Otherwise, I'll go hire one person. That person doesn't work out. My volume goes down while I'm looking to hire that person. And then I go, oh my God, look what happened when I try to hire somebody. I'm going to go back to the old way. And that is a travesty. I am so grateful that when my first one didn't work out, that somebody had a conversation much like what we're having today and told me, Carl, do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And because I do that, dude, I have a multi-7-figure income and work 8 days a month. I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every other week. And dude, it's amazing. But it's only because I push through that. And so like with the volume that I have of 800 million of my organization, I don't own my mortgage company, by the way. I plugged into somebody else, right? And I could I have the resource to go open my own. But if I did that, while I'm building that up, I'm not out there selling, which selling is what I do. That's what I love doing. The compliance stuff, it's not my thing. I'm not a master of that. That's not my triad of awesomeness.
Yeah.
And so for me, I plugged into somebody else. Oh, sure, they get a piece of the pie, but I'd have to outsource that activity anyway.
Yeah.
And they're better at it than I am. So for me, plugging into somebody that's already got a working engine is way better than starting from scratch. That's just my own personal opinion.
Got it. That's interesting in terms of getting you ramped up very, very quickly is finding somebody who's already doing it, plugging in, and then building from there.
Because otherwise, if I hired my first person, it doesn't work out. I'm so afraid when I give this advice to people that one doesn't work out, then they never go do it again. And they lose, their borrowers lose, their future referral partners lose, their wife, their husband, their kids lose. Dude, Earth loses because now they're not going out and buying a nice home, which puts more people to work and buying a boat or an airplane or vacations or giving life experiences for your family and the people that provide those life experiences, you're helping give them job. Like it's a travesty when somebody quits because it didn't work. It's like the first time my engine blew up, I pulled into the pits, never to jump into a car again. There'd be no Jeff Gordon, Richard Patey, Dale Earnhardt, or any in any industry. The first time the Beatles went and played an audience, my guess is people didn't throw money at them. Thank God they pushed through. I'm sure some people booed from time to time, right? As with any new band, thank God they pushed through that and made the world a better place with, beautiful music.
Yeah. The proof of concept about this concept is actually this happens in much, much, much larger companies than us. I mean, there's a whole mergers and acquisitions field out there of large companies that they see complementary pieces of business that they would like to have, and they merge because they complement themselves instead of going out, slowing down and building it up themselves.
Like with Facebook didn't go develop Instagram. Instagram was there. Facebook just went and bought it instead of trying to copy them. Frankly, I think that's why, Google, which is a monster, has for years been trying to get into the social media thing and never quite getting it. And they're an amazing company with endless resources of money. They should have bought Instagram.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So no. We want to build it ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, go ask them. How's that worked out for you?
Yeah. Facebook stole it. Yeah.
Facebook stole it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, hey, Carl, we're coming up here on an hour. And so I really, really appreciate all of your time. And I know that you've got plenty of it, but still appreciate you sharing it with our audience. Where can people find you? When you talk a little bit about your strategy sessions that you offer for loan officers, you've got a coaching company, you're a branch manager. Where can people find you best online, and where would you point them if they wanted more information about marketing animals?
Probably the best place to start would be let's just get on the horn and just find out where you are, and we'll map out a plan, and you're welcome to take that plan and work it by yourself. Once we show you the plan, it's certainly cool to do that. Or you might ask us to help you with that plan, like you and I are doing, Andrew or Irene, who you're working with. But either way, it's certainly worth getting on the phone and mapping out a plan. We can start mapping out these specific activities for you to do. if you just go to loanofficerstrategycall.com, loanofficerstrategycall.com, we'll set that up for you. So, and Andrew, for people that are listening that want to, you never do your own plug, my guess is, because if somebody wants to reach out to you, man, is there a way on this podcast or a link here to thank you. In the show notes that's accompanying this, wherever the podcast wherever you're listening to it, there's the podcast website where you can hear all the episodes, and you can also just email me. My email is in there. Carl, I got to say before I let you go, my experience of you has been one of the most authentic and genuine people. The one thing when I had the opportunity to discuss you and your podcast and the 3-day seminar that we went to and my coaching experience is that you're the same exact person on this call as you are in person, as you are on your podcast, as you are with anybody that I've had the experience with. And I think that your passion about helping loan officers have a better life, not just a better business, and how that life interacts really shows through. And I got to say that it's something that I really am trying to emulate as best I can. I really like your authenticity, and I really appreciate you sharing your time. Dude, I appreciate yours, and I appreciate you, man, I appreciate your trust, and I just want to let you know it's well placed. So cool. Man, great interview. Dude, I've been interviewed a bunch of times. That was, you're really good at this, man. Thank you. So if somebody wants to be a guest on your podcast, how would I work that out? They can reach out to, I'm always looking for guests. I put out this show once every other week, so they can reach out directly to my email, which is in the show notes below. All right, cool. All right, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks a lot, man.
The information contained in this podcast presentation is for business and professional use only to assist real estate professionals and is not an advertisement to extend consumer credit as defined by Section 226.2 of Regulation Z. Arklatex Financial Services, LLC, NMLS number 22142 DBA Benchmark Mortgage makes no representations or warranties of any kind expressed or implied about the completeness, reliability, suitability, or availability with respect to the information, products, or services. All loans subject to borrower qualifying. Other restrictions may apply. Branch Manager Andrew Sost, NMLS number 259002. Branch located at 140 Newport Center Drive, Suite 210, Newport Beach, California 92660. Contact the branch by calling 949-258-9555. Equal housing opportunity.